All right, American soccer is weird, and another uniquely American soccer thing. A new team that is being formed, not yet on the field, is asking the public for suggestions on some names. NWSL's Denver expansion team asking fans to write in and rank their favorite names. They put out 6 options here. You can see them on your screen. They wanted you to rank them from 1 to 6 on their survey. What do you make of these names, Mr. Davis?
Well, there's also, I believe there's also a write-in section. So if you don't like this name, and I saw some people pointing out when this dropped, like there have been clubs in the past that have put out options and then gone with something different. Like in the end, they didn't choose one of the potential names listed. Yes.
And I was just gonna say we're gonna debate these names, but they're all 6 of these already better than Boss Nation.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All of them knocked Boss Nation out of the water. Doesn't mean they're good because that bar is very low. Bar is very, very low. Now, first, just full disclosure, my parents are both from Denver. I have very strong feelings about the state of Colorado and the city of Denver. I never lived there myself, but I feel a part of that city. Like I feel that city is part of me. Maybe I'm a Denver Broncos fan. That's one thing I should declare openly. I am a Denver Broncos fan through and through. Have been since I knew what a football was. So I feel emotional about this, Robert. It's not just like, oh, I'm a soccer fan. I get to be all judgy about soccer team names. As somebody who has been judgy about soccer team names in the past, I feel like it's part of my job. Part of my job, right?
Judginess, reactions. I mean, your profession is to be a kind of a prisoner of the moment, to orate, narrate the moment, the reaction as they happen. So
Yes,
some of that,
right.
borderline's judgment.
If you listen to the old radio show, The United States of Soccer, you'll know I made this kind of thing a feature of that show on a regular basis. We talked about badges, we talked about shirts, we talked about team names. And one thing I've been consistent with since I started really caring about American soccer or writing about it or talking about it is that we have to stop always defaulting to FC. Stop it already.
6 FCs on here.
I mean, why even bother, though? Like, this is one of those things like, I don't know, like when you're filling out a form and at the top you have to put your address and then it asks you like for your mailing address later and you can just put same. Why are we doing FC after every option? Why not just give the name part and then, look, if you want to slap FC, I guess the only one that would definitely need it is Denver FC, which of course is the most boring that we should chuck out the window right now. Get that out of here. Denver FC. That's terrible. But everything else, you don't even have to put FC on there. We kind of presume now people running soccer teams are going to choose FC because they want to feel fancy and European, I guess.
It is a little bit of a mind bender to have all these football clubs entering a league that has soccer league in the name. I mean, Major League Soccer has dealt with that. And I actually think a couple of these are much improved names if you drop the FC. I think Denver Gold Gold is kind of nice just on its own.
So Denver Gold is not original. Do you know that?
No,
are you aware?
It's not is it a beer name or something like that?
No, Denver Gold, a former team in the USFL from 1983 to 1985. Yeah. You should go look up their badge or their logo. It was basically just like a sunburst, a gold sunburst on a black background. Anyway, USFL. If you are aware, there was a team called Denver Gold. I'm not against reappropriating it. No one's thought about the Denver Gold football team in 30 years, but I don't know. It's not super original. Let's look at the other ones though, right? And ponder. And so what we have here is a clear, the first 4. We have a pretty clear theme. Mountains. Colorado has mountains. Mountains are our theme. Denver Peak FC. Initial response in a vacuum. Forget the other ones, Robert. Initial response to Denver Peak.
I think that you're flirting with dangerous territory there, with like the Twin Peaks restaurant kind of connections and that sort of a thing. And I already saw when I saw this announcement already, there was already people kind of making peak jokes. So I think that might be a little bit dangerous.
Okay, I see. That is a good reason to stay away from that one. I also am not a big fan of Denver Peak. I don't think it rolls off the tongue, and then you bring up those issues.
So imagine a commentator, going on, and then Denver comes down and Peak score. What a great time for peak here this afternoon. It doesn't
It's
roll off
just
the tongue.
it's just one of those words that doesn't sound good. It does when the more you say it, like if you have to use it in a rare kind of circumstance, like, oh, look at this, it's an incredible peak that we're about to climb, sure. But when you're constantly
Peak,
saying, oh,
peak,
Denver
peak.
peak, it's like this word has lost all meaning.
Yeah.
All right, Colorado 14ers, and anybody who doesn't know, Colorado has the most 14,000 plus summits in America. So the mountains of Colorado, there are 53 mountains that are 14,000 feet or taller. 14,000 feet, I guess, is kind of an arbitrary, this is a really big mountain kind of size. Like I said, spent a lot of time in Colorado. I remember this being a thing. I'm not against it. I mean, obviously it's in the same kind of, theme as 76ers or 49ers. In fact, Vancouver was the 86ers at one point in the old NASL, I think. So, or there was some team called the 86ers. What do you think about 14ers?
I think it's another thing that's kind of fun that it connects to the region that they're looking to represent, but it's another one of those things. If it's in regular conversation, you're watching a game, how many times do you want to hear them say 14ers? And I think people accidentally say 49ers. And I don't think it's good for throwing in regular speech.
That doesn't help for that theme. So when you talk about the 76ers, the Philadelphia 76ers, you can shorthand it and go, oh, the Sixers. You talk about the 49ers, you go, the Niners. They're the Niners. They're not the 49ers all the time.
Teeners?
Yeah, that doesn't sound right. You don't want to be saying that. You don't want to be saying the Teeners. It doesn't flow the same way. Colorado Summit, generically mountainous. I'm not against it. It's okay. Denver Elevate. I don't like verbs. For team names as a general rule. I mean, maybe there's exceptions out there where I'm like, okay, yeah, that's great, but I don't know. What do you think?
At least it's uplifting. It's a positive word. I mean, the elevate are reaching for higher heights, so to speak. But I wouldn't say it's a classic, but I feel like it could grow into something. I'm not totally against it.
Maybe it's because it's not in that typical, and English is such a weird language, like sounder. Sounder's a verb, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are they sounders because they occupy the sound? Like, oh, that person's a sounder because they occupy the sound. That's what that is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. It just doesn't. It's elevate is like, I went down to GNC and I got a pack of Elevate for my workout tomorrow.
yeah. It's not awesome.
Yeah, it's not great. None of these are great. I've seen a ranking. Somebody else said they thought Elevate was the best. Go ahead and print it now. If these are the options, this is my ranking. If these are the options, bottom of the list, Denver FC. Get it out of here. Don't care. Don't want it. I would say Denver Peak would be next. Don't like the sound of that. Denver Elevate again feels like something in the health space or something or fitness space. I would put Gold next. Then I would put 14ers, and then I guess Summit would be my top choice.
Ooh.
I guess.
That doesn't end up to be a good choice. I don't think. I don't think that one is.
Well,
peak.
okay,
I don't think Summit
Rank 'em.
is the peak. So I'll go top down. You went bottom up. I'll go top down. I'm going to start with Denver Gold, but drop the FC. Then I would go to Denver Elevate in my number 2. Then Denver Soccer Club I would do as a third.
No, you can't change it. That's not how this works. You're not allowed to change these. These are the names they suggested. You have to go with Denver FC. You cannot change it to Denver Soccer Club.
All right. So we'll start again. Number 1, Denver Gold Football Club. Number 2, Denver Elevate Football Club. Then Colorado Summit FC. Then Peak, 14ers, Denver FC to round it out.
Okay, you're not a 14ers person, got it.
No, I don't like the 14ers. I learned something about the topography of the region by talking about this. But one part of this the survey that they put out that I wanted to address that I thought was relevant as well, and it kind of speaks to the American soccer weird element. There was a follow-up question after the choice ranking is, would you prefer the team represent Denver or Colorado? And I feel like that's almost a bit of a reflection of, like, sorry to say, like the plasticness of this process? Because they should already have this in mind. What is the origin of this team if they don't know who they want to represent already?
So, well, okay. I mean, I think there's a tradition in Colorado sports that some teams are Denver and some teams are Colorado. Like you have the Denver Broncos and the Denver Nuggets, but you have the Colorado Avalanche and the Colorado Rockies, right? So, I think there's just this idea of like, what do you prefer? Now, I would also say, again, just having a little bit of a connection to Denver and thinking about Denver, I remember when the Avalanche moved to Denver, there was a question, maybe you call them the Colorado Arsenal or something, Rocky Mountain Arsenal. There actually is an arsenal, like a weapons depot called the Rocky Mountain Arsenal. Now,
that's cool.
Obviously, in soccer, that gets a little bit trickier because there is an arsenal. So you can't just call yourself something that another team is named in the same sport you're in. I think that gets weird.
But that's more relevant than Real or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. The other thing is, like, we have Bay FC, we have Gotham FC in this league, right? We have Racing Louisville. I know that the Louisville's in the name, but it's not the same. It's not this thing where you have to do city name and then Word. Something. In this case, it's Denver, Colorado. There's that part of Colorado is called the Front Range, right? That is the Front Range of the Rocky Mountains that Denver sits beneath. Why not Front Range Football Club or something that plays on some of that and doesn't have to see? No, I think it's romantic. It's one of my things of like the romance of naming a team that's not. Don't name it directly off the city because that's boring and easy. Why not or the state in this case? Why not do something like that? It's just an option. I'm just throwing it out there.
So you have thrown out a couple good viable options that I would say compete, if not go above these on the ones that are on the screen. And how much brain space did that take for you to come up with those?
I mean, first of all, I just rejected FC because that's not.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like these names I'm sure have been workshopped to a greater degree with some sort of board and consortium to pick these names for their suggestions.
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I think this is the initial stages of they got some of the people involved in the club in a room. It could be Jordan Angeli, it could be the owners, it could be Tom Dunmore, who I'm friendly with back in the day. And they were just like throwing stuff out. And then there's a whiteboard and somebody was like, Colorado Summit? Okay, it's going up. And then they put out their survey. And that's where we are. Right?
Yeah,
I also brought up the Denver Mint, which I think produces more coins than any other mint. Certainly in America. I don't know if in the world. I know that one gets a little weird. Mint is kind of a hard thing to make your identity around, but there's something there.
It is kind of cool to like call something mint, like that's top notch. That team is mint. It's kind of cool. It could get a little bit weird, but I like that suggestion.
Well, because the dual meaning with the color, like which is what Charlotte is, what their whole thing is like. They have Minty, the mascot. I don't know exactly what that's all about. There's a Charlotte Mint too, I think, right? Isn't there a mint in Charlotte? Is that why they did the coins? There is, yeah. So that was the first one, I guess, the first branch.
Hey, kudos to your fast typing there to look that up, by the way. That was really quick.
I mean, it comes with the territory. You got to be on point with looking things up as you talk about soccer in America. All right,
there's some good suggestions in the chat for some Denver NWSL suggestions. I like Urias's the Rocky Mountain Rangers. I thought it's pretty good.
You like that one?
That's kind of fun.
Rangers?
It's a little bit outside of the naming conformity that we're looking at on the screen, I would say.
All right, this is B-Ray is indicating B-Ray is from Denver Soul, and part of the reason for that is Denver gets 300 plus days of sun a year. I mean, that's one of the things about that part of the world is lots and lots of sunshine. So, Atletico de Denver. See, that's a lot going on there. I don't know about that one. I don't know if that's the way you want to go with that. All right,
that's fun. And then Andy King with the FC Denver of Colorado, which I think is also a tongue-in-cheek suggestion.
I mean, yeah, that does feel like something somebody would try, though. FC Denver of Colorado. I mean, bring back the Caribous of Colorado. That was the NSL team with the fringe on the shirts. I don't know.
There should be at least a third kit sort of throwback, like a nod to that. That's got to come back in some way. That I think a lot more people do know, they don't necessarily know the name Caribous of Colorado, but that one team in America that had fringe on their jersey is something I think hit the national slash international zeitgeist to a degree of some level. But great Friday program. Thank you to Peter Wilt. Thank you, MK Ultras in the chat and watching at home. Subscriptions. We are on the march to 1,000. We're in the 900s or so. Be the very next, and then tell your people to be the very next after you to subscribe. Morning Kick Around on YouTube. We are looking to grow and become a sustainable show. So hop on along to do that financially. Ko-fi.com/morning kick around. You can donate as little as $5 one time, literally enough for a takeaway coffee, or contribute something larger, or a regularly scheduled contribution. We thank you in advance for doing so, and you can follow along on social